A very warm and lovely welcome to Moments with Inonge. You are watching the leadership segment. Please do let me know where you're watching from, and also feel free to drop your comments, your contributions, and also to ask your questions. On tonight's leadership segment, we're going to be talking self-efficacy and productivity. So please stay tuned, as this is a very, very wonderful session. Please, guys, like and share this broadcast. Tag your friends to be part and parcel of this leadership segment. You will be glad they attended. You will be glad you attended. And, it will get better at the end of it all. I'm expecting to hear from you, even as you hear from me. And in the studio, we have a special guest. But before I bring her into the studio, I would love to find out, guys, on a scale of 1 to 10, how can you rate your belief in yourself? So you can just let me know how you rate your belief in yourself. When you're given a task to do something, it can be for the first time, it can be something that you're just thinking of, it can be something that you do, it can be in relation to your work. How do you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10? So even as I wait for those comments, I want to welcome you once again to Moments with Inonge's leadership segment. And just to give you a heads up, our theme on Moments with Inonge for this month of May is management is our responsibility. Management is our responsibility. And every Sunday, Mondays and Tuesday, we usually have a live segment. So on Sundays, we have the inspirational segment. On Mondays, we have either the motivational segment or the financial literacy segment. And then on Tuesdays, we have the leadership segment, which is this very segment, your favorite segment, the one that we are actually watching. So guys, we also have a practical table powered by Moments with Inonge. And this opens subscriptions every Sunday. And then we start a new week on Thursday, every Thursday. So please ensure that you are part and parcel of the practical table. To know more about it, you can inbox me or go to our Facebook page and click the WhatsApp button and send me a WhatsApp button. So my question was, on a scale of 1 to 10, how can you rate your belief in yourself? So even as you go ahead and type, guys, even as you let me know where you're watching from, even as you tag your friends and share this broadcast, I would love to invite our special guest in tonight's leadership segment, depending on where you're watching from this afternoon and this morning. And our special guest is none other than Ruth. Please, guys, do welcome her to the studio.
Hello, everyone. Hello,
Hi.
Inonge.
Hey, thank
I'm
you.
super excited to be on your show.
Oh, wow, 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 wow. And thank you so much, Ruth, for making time to actually be part and parcel of this wonderful leadership segment. We are humbled to have you. And Ruth, I know nobody sells themselves or introduces themselves like, they would, So at this point, I'll just ask you to introduce yourself.
Okay. My name is Ruth Mwalusi Ngulube. I'm a John Maxwell certified coach, trainer, and mentor, just like you, Inonge, and a few other people we have in Zambia, Pastor Cholwe, Chiwamba Kanyama, Maureen, who was here, and Bruce, and many others. Yeah. So it's an exciting family to belong to. Yeah. So I am a JMTer. We call ourselves a JMTers, and I'm sure you see my posts most times when I'm when I'm commenting on Moments with Inonge. I'll talk about how yay, I'm watching JMTers go. Yeah. So I am one. And I also do DISC training. A DISC is a form of personality assessment, and maybe we'll talk about it at the end of the show.
Sure.
But that's just something that is very important, I believe. So I'm a certified DISC trainer, and I have 30 years experience in the banking industry, having worked for about three organizations so far. So on an academic side, I'm a holder of an MBA from Edinburgh Business School, Herod University, and I have a Bachelor of Science degree from Manchester University, which is a dual qualification with the Chartered Institute of Bankers then, now the London Institute of Banking and Financial Services. Yeah, that's about it for me. But in Zambia, actually, I'm a fellow of the Zambian Institute of Banking and Financial Services. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. How interesting, Ruth. And we're so glad you are part and parcel of this leadership segment. So we have Pastor Sam watching from Livingston, and he goes ahead to say hello and watching to hear. And then we also have Iles watching from within Lusaka, watching from Lusaka. Thank you so much for joining us. And Pastor Sam says, Team JMT. Yes, we are the JMT, team.
Yeah.
So, and he says, life coaches. Indeed, we are. Pastor Sam, thank you so much for being part and parcel of this leadership segment. And Iles, also thank you so much. Even thank you for liking and sharing, and also your participation even as we go ahead and continue in the segment. So we have a very
Yeah.
interesting topic
I think
discussion.
indeed. Inonge, just to say there's an introduction that I have, and maybe I'm a bit nervous being the very first time I'm appearing on your segment. But the most important introduction that I didn't make is that I'm a Christian, born again, child of the Most High God. Thank you.
You're welcome. It's always good to know, your belief, what you stand for as well. So thank you so much for that introduction. So that makes a lot of us here on this platform. We also have a comment from Mulenga, and Mulenga says, connected from Zimba. Thank you so much, Mulenga. Thank you for joining the segment, liking, watching, sharing, and also participating. So guys, in the beginning, I had posed the question, and I had asked to say, on a scale of 1 to 10, how can you rate your belief in yourself? So even as you go ahead and just answer that question by rating yourself, we're going to continue, and we'll be talking about a very important topic, and this is self-efficacy and productivity. Wow, self-efficacy and productivity. So when it comes to self-efficacy, Ruth, I'm sure the viewers want to know what it is, you know, what self-efficacy is.
Okay, thanks. Let me break it down like this. First off, this is a topic that is very close to my heart because I believe many people fail because they lack that self-belief. But having
Mm-hmm.
said that, believers have indicated. So I anchored this in Philippians chapter 4, verse 13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. So
Awesome.
these two should not be separated. When you're looking at or you're talking about self-efficacy, it shouldn't just be your belief in self to the extent where you exclude God. That shouldn't be the case. It shouldn't be. It should be that you're depending on Him, but you're believing that the gifts that is deposited in you, the
Mm-hmm.
knowledge, the understanding, you are able to actually achieve the goals and tasks that are set before you. Okay,
Mm.
so let's break it down. What does efficacy mean? So efficacy, the synonyms that I actually found in the dictionary include effectiveness, usefulness, ability, worth, value. So when you look at the word self and then you add everything else, self-worth,
Mm,
self-value,
mm,
self-effectiveness, you come up with what the word self-efficacy is about.
mhm,
So you need to have that strong belief within yourself that you
mhm,
are able, you can do it, you can do work, you can achieve those tasks that are before you. So let me just start by also saying that if you look at self-efficacy and you look at the people that actually have a high level of self-efficacy and
mm,
what they are able to do, you find that such people will fail, but they will quickly dust themselves off, rise up, and move on.
mm,
Adversity happens. We all fail from time to time. We
mhm,
all go through disappointments. All go through pain. But if you have a high level of self-efficacy, your recovery time is quicker than
mhm,
somebody who has a low self-efficacy. A person who has a low self-efficacy will actually dwell on their problem.
mm,
There'll be a pity party to the extent where it just carries on. I mean, there's nothing wrong with you feeling bad about a situation,
mhm.
but dwelling on it for a long period, a sustained period, is not healthy in any manner, shape, or form.
That's true.
So, a person with a high level of self efficacy is
Mhm,
able to actually quickly recover
mm,
and move on and get done with what needs to be done. But these things, you see, are ingrained and we are conditioned from childhood. People are brought up in different environments. So there are
that's
certain environments where maybe somebody was told, you will never amount to anything. So then
true.
they don't feel like they can believe in themselves, you
Mm,
know. But if somebody is told you can do it, you can be anything, you actually focus on being, you are
mm,
able, you can achieve what you set your mind to achieve, and God
mm,
will give you the desires of your heart. That person then has that self-belief that they are
mm.
able to achieve. Somebody
You know,
who's
mhm,
beaten down, who's walked all over as a child, most likely may not have that capacity to recover. When
mm,
negative things happen, they'll just, go into that shell and think, good things never happen to me, you
mm,
know?
mm,
So it's very important, and it doesn't really matter what one has gone through in life.
mm,
There's always time. I mean, God loves us and is able to heal us. Let's
mm.
look at our past head on and heal from whatever caused us any hurt or harm
That's
by
true.
facing it and by growing from it. Yes. So
That's
it's
true.
quite important for us to look back,
Mm,
and self introspection is very important in
mm.
this process.
Yeah. Before we
What
even,
are those things that
sorry, Ruth, I'm so sorry to cut you
Mhm.
short. Yeah. Before we even go like way deeper into some of the sources, there is a definition of self-efficacy that I actually came across, and this says it
Mhm.
refers to an individual's belief in his or her capacity to execute behaviors necessary to produce specific performance attainments. So in a nutshell, just to really, really break some of these words a little bit down, what we're trying to get at when we're talking self efficacy is, what your belief about yourself. You see, there is so much going on, and there is so much going on, but there are there's so little progress actually being recorded. So much is going on, but so little progress, actually being recorded. So I think we can, in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is there's so much mediocrity going around, you know. So I think it all boils down to self-belief, self-belief. And because we said we're looking at self efficacy and productivity, I would also want to share, what productivity really is. And this is the
Mm-hmm.
state or quality of producing something. So it's the state and or quality of producing something. So because we're looking at these two, Ruth, I would love us to, as you already began, to go about it. So as you were talking, you talked about self-worth, and you talked about these. You gave an illustration of two people. There's one
Mm-hmm.
that has got a high, self-efficacy level, and the other one that has got a low self-efficacy level. I think one of the ways that would be able to actually find out where we do we have a high, level efficacy or low level efficacy, is to begin to understand some of the sources which you touched. And I may just take you back a little. So I think at this point it would be good if we discussed some of the sources of either high efficacy and also low efficacy.
Okay. Yeah. So there could be a number, and what I'm going to talk about here is not exhaustive.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and I'm just going to pick on some of the things that I've personally experienced and what I've seen.
mm,
Okay. So the one that I pointed out was maybe upbringing, the environment one was brought up in.
mm-hmm.
The other one is really lack of purpose.
Lack of purpose.
I was having a chat with a colleague today.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry,
I was saying I
a
like
lack
that.
of purpose.
Mm,
Yeah, a lack of purpose. I was talking to a colleague and friend today, and we're just discussing about productivity, and so we talked about this purpose issue, how for most workers, and then this happens in many organizations, really, where somebody believes because they work hard, they deserve a promotion, for
mm,
instance. Okay. Um, they forget that they're actually rewarded with their salary at the end of the month. So there's a
mm,
sense of entitlement that because I work hard or because I've obtained this qualification or that qualification, that means I ought to be promoted. And they put pressure on their seniors to get that promotion
mhm.
without asking themselves whether they actually have the capacity, because it's about capacity. Okay,
Yes.
promotion is about capacity. When you work hard, you're rewarded, as I indicated. You get your salary or maybe a bonus as well, but it doesn't necessarily mean you ought to be promoted.
Mm-hmm,
So purpose, a lack of purpose is one thing. Entitlement is another. There's also an environment that enables mediocrity.
mm-hmm,
So if a leader kind of allows mediocrity in the workplace, you
mm-hmm,
find that the team will produce mediocre results. But if a leader demands a higher level of productivity
mm-hmm,
and equips his or her team to produce,
mm,
you find that people step up. So if that environment is embracing of mediocrity, it will carry on.
mm-hmm,
But if there's a high performance culture, a high performance standard that is set, you find that people will kind of step up. Even those people that were, like, just getting by. And I noticed that in many organizations, there's that, there's a fake kind of approach to work, you
mm-hmm,
know. And this can be said of many organizations in Zambia, in other countries as well.
mm-hmm,
Why is that? Because the organization has allowed it to happen.
mm,
If a leader doesn't allow it, if a leader sets boundaries and doesn't allow that to happen, it will not happen, because under whose charge is this happening?
mm,
So a leader will not tolerate suboptimal kind of work results,
mm.
And therefore, people know that if we don't perform, we'll be fired.
And
And it just changes the attitude.
yeah, and one thing that has just come to my mind is there is a time when government workers were told to report early, and what happened at that point,
Yes,
that yeah at that point what happened was that the ones in higher authority began to report to work early. That forced the employees to begin to report early, and then they started making these random
exactly.
checks. They started making these random checks. They go to this certain place, and if they don't find you there, you're in soup. So I guess that really solidifies the point that you
Exactly.
just made, to say, you know what, it all anyway, John, our mentor, actually says everything rises and falls on leadership.
And
So
falls on leadership.
that's
Yes,
true. That's true. So
exactly.
the
Mhm.
leaders we also have. So I think, yeah, I agree with you. Absolutely. I do agree with you. So, like you have stated truly,
Yeah.
the sources may be our upbringing, the leaders, the environment, around us. What does it support, and all that? Very interesting conversation
Mhm.
we are having here. So in the instance where, like, you've grown up in an environment, or you are surrounded in an environment, that really supports self-law, law efficacy. How can one upgrade? How can one change
Okay.
levels?
Okay. So self-awareness is key. You need to be aware of your state.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then you need to be intentional about your personal growth.
Wow.
That is quite key. Yeah. You and I know that when you're coaching someone, they have to state exactly what they want their goal to be. What is it they're trying to achieve?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So that person needs to understand where
Mm-hmm.
they are today before they can actually, where they're coming from, where they are, and where they're going, to fully understand what needs to happen, what options are available for them to
Mm-hmm.
take. Maybe it's a skill that needs to be developed, you know.
Mm-hmm.
For instance, one of the uh, maybe I will call them as symptoms of a low self-efficacy would be something like blaming yourself,
Mm-hmm.
blaming other people,
Mm-hmm.
getting to understand that you are the one who's responsible for your life. That
Mm.
knowledge, that understanding will help you change,
Wow.
you know?
Yeah.
So the thing that I feel lacks most of the times is
Mm.
self-responsibility. You see, if your neighbor throws dirt in your yard, it's your responsibility to clean it up. I'm sorry to say, but it is in your yard. Take
Mm.
care of the stuff within your yard.
Mm-hmm.
You can scream, you can shout, and you can do whatever you want. But at the end of the day, there's dirt in your yard and you need to clean it up.
That's true.
So you are responsible. Whatever somebody does to you, guess
Mm.
what? That is not your business. Your business is how you respond, right? How you
That's
respond to that offense is your business. What
mm.
they do, what that neighbor does to you, is not your business. The fact is, there's dirt and it needs to be cleaned up.
Mm-hmm. Mm.
Okay? So, how you respond and how you treat other people, are you the one that also throws dirt in other people's yards?
Mm-hmm.
You see? So, you need to make sure that the way you live, and this is biblical as well as a key principle of leadership, treat other people the way you'd want them to treat you.
Mm.
I think
That's
that's
true.
that's quite important. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
hmm So with that, yeah, I would say it's important to have that self responsibility.
Mm.
Yeah,
From what
take
you've actually,
ownership of your life.
from what you've actually said, I've picked a lot of major things, because at the end of the day, if you're going to change your levels, if you're going to change your belief, you spoke about something like awareness. So at the end of the day, if you're this person who doesn't believe in yourself, the only way that you can change to begin to believe yourself, to begin to see yourself well, is first of all to know what your limiting belief is. What your limiting
Exactly, exactly.
what
What is it?
limiting,
Mm-hmm.
you
What
know
is it that is stopping you?
Yeah, what is it that is stopping me? Because only then, that's the only point, at which change can begin to take place. Because if you do not see anything as in limiting you, as in anything wrong around you, it's very unlikely that you are actually going to change. And you see, most of the times you find that somebody can advise you to say, oh, okay, Ruth, you need to change one or two things, and like this, like that, like that. If you do not have that personal conviction, you will not actually begin to take steps. So it actually starts from awareness, and I think um, awareness from within. There are many times.
Exactly.
There are many times that you know people expect us to do certain things. They expect us to do
Mm-hmm.
certain things, or we fail to do certain things because we are actually thinking, how will other people respond? But you've talked about responsibility, and you've also talked about purpose. You see, there is one thing for you to be too careful about what people will say when you neglect your purpose, when you neglect your responsibility.
Exactly.
Somebody may throw the example that you use, somebody throws dirt in your yard, and then they go away, they are not around. So if you're a person that is too concerned about what people will say, you begin to say, somebody threw dirt in their yard and then they went and cleaned it. How will they see me? I better wait for that person so that I can put them in their place. But I mean, hello, that's wrong. Because at the end
Yeah.
of the day, that's your surrounding. And at the end of the day, you do not control
Exactly.
the other person's movement. So you don't know what time they'll be back in order for you to have that confrontation with them to clean up. So I guess taking
Or whether
responsibility,
they'll be willing.
yeah, or whether they'll be willing,
Mm-hmm.
you know,
Whether
to
they'll
fix
actually
it.
be willing
Mm.
to clean it up. Yeah.
I'm telling you,
Yeah.
because people perceive things in different ways. They can actually say,
Yeah.
I put this back here because your child brought it into our yard, so I'm putting it back. So now, the
Yeah.
circle keep on going round and round. And because you
Exactly.
about a certain principle, that comes from the Bible about do unto others as you'd want them to do unto yourself. As you were talking, something that came to my mind is, when it comes to self-responsibility, being responsible for your own self, the Bible encourages us to guard our heart, because out
Exactly.
of flaws, the matters, they are
The issues of life.
of life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, guys, in order for us to have a high self-efficacy, in order for us to believe in ourselves, we have to guard the things that come in of us, the things that we allow to stay inside us, and the things that also we allow to get out of us. We
Yes.
we we really have to watch ourselves on that, because to be honest with you, this topic, self-efficacy and productivity, it's related. The
Yes.
level at which you believe in yourself will also determine the results
Your
that,
output.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
your output. It will determine your outputs, because I've never seen somebody who has done exploits who doesn't believe in themselves.
Exactly.
people who've done
Exactly.
exploits, who people don't believe, they actually say nothing good can come out of them, but they go ahead and achieve, great things. But I've never seen somebody that says, you know what, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this.
And they
And
end up doing
yeah,
it. Doesn't
so
happen. It
I think,
doesn't happen.
Ruth, let's
Yeah.
really, I think maybe go back a little in talking in depth about self-efficacy and productivity. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So as I indicated, the person who has a high self-efficacy believes that they are able to achieve, right? So they have grit, they have that perseverance. No matter how bad things are, they'll get up. They'll get up and they'll still want to get it done, you know? And they have an internal locus of control. This is where they believe that they are responsible,
Mm,
okay? They look inwardly. A
mm-hmm,
person with an external locus of control has a low self-efficacy. That person blames everything, on people, on whatever. When they fail to do something, it's because of this. They're not promoted. I'm hated instead of improving their capacity, their academics and stuff like that. So, yeah. So you tend to find that those with a low self-efficacy typically blame everything on its external forces that are at war against them.
wow.
They don't take any personal responsibility. They don't do that.
Mm-hmm,
Have you ever been with somebody who just went on and on complaining and complaining and complaining and complaining about people? So
mm,
such people will end up being people pleasers as well. So they dwell too much on, perceptions, how will I be seen and that kind of thing.
mm-hmm,
And instead of really focusing on themselves and what needs to be done, they
mm,
tend to then, focus on the outside world, how they're seen, how they're perceived.
mm-hmm. And
Yeah.
growing up, I was very tall. Among my friends, I could consider myself as very tall. And that in itself made me have this low self-efficacy. You know, I
Yeah.
I I didn't have this confidence in myself to do things. But the moment I became aware to say, you know what, I am created in the image of God, and there is nothing I can do to change my height. Maybe the least I could do
Mm-hmm.
is change my friends, but I don't want to change my friends because of my height. So I just began to, believe more in myself. And once I
Right.
began to believe more in myself, and enjoy my God given height, I began to do different things. I began to do wonderful things. I began to, participate in these beauty pageants. I remember Miss Sacred Heart of Jesus.
Wow.
I began to do all those things. Those are things that I shied away. I couldn't do because I thought my height was a problem. But when I began to accept who I am and began to look at what I possess the way I am, my confidence
Mm-hmm.
built up to a point that I was able to participate in these little pageants. So guys, even as we're talking,
Okay.
it's very important for us to ask ourselves questions like, you know what? When I look at myself, what is my belief? What am I able to do? What am I able to do? What do I believe I can do? What are the results that I'm getting from the things that I'm doing? And why am I getting these results? Those are very important questions to ask yourself because there is a level of awareness, and it all starts with awareness. When it comes to awareness, I'm so passionate about this because it is awareness of who I am, of who my purpose is, of who my gift, of sorry, what my gift is, that has given me a meaning for life, that gives me this drive. And I would also love to see a lot of people discover who, they are, discover the things that have
Mhm.
limited them from becoming all that they are. You know, I I used to blame things like the government, blame the economy. You go to a shop and you go to a mall and you see this dress and you go like, oh my God, this dress is so expensive. How can somebody afford this dress? Inonge, I mean, take a look at yourself. Who are you blaming? This dress is expensive. When you visit the store, it's gone. Somebody else has bought it. So what's the difference?
Exactly.
The person who
Yeah.
has bought it, and yourself, and then you begin to think, to say, okay, we are living in the same country, living in the same town, passing through the same streets. So meaning the problem is not with the surrounding but myself. I have to add value to myself. That's
Exactly.
how I began to think, to say, if somebody born of a mother just like me, with one head just like me, with eyes just like me, I mean, if they are they are commanding exploits, what is stopping me? It's not the government, because the same government that is ruling over them is the same government ruling. What is stopping me? And when I did that,
Exactly.
I went ahead and realized, my belief system. I need to,
Yes, exactly. So it has a lot indeed, Inonge.
it
Hello,
does.
Inonge.
Yes, I can hear you. So indeed, it does have a
Yes.
lot
So
to
it
do
has
with self-belief.
exactly
Mm,
those limiting beliefs, indeed. The other reason, yeah, is a lack of prioritizing important things. Most
mm,
people attend to agent stuff. Most people attend to agent stuff because somebody feels this is agent. It may not be important, but then you kind of leave what is important to attend to the agent. But then in this world we live in, it's fast paced, things happen. So you find yourself attending to something agent, now another agent thing comes up, another agent thing, and you neglect the important. So
mm.
prioritization is very key. Yeah,
That's that's very true. That's very.
prioritization is key. And yeah, when we're looking at productivity, it's also important to manage your energy.
Mm,
Okay, you can be so overwhelmed because maybe there's a lack of prioritization, or you're just swamped and stressed out. The
mm.
reason could be that you're not managing your energy well. It could be, a
That,
situation where I used to do this. I start work and I'm just focused on work to the extent where I wouldn't even, like go out for lunch break because
mm,
I'm working, having lunch at my desk. I'm such a hard worker. By the time it gets to 18 hours, I'm truly exhausted, you see. So
mm,
what I've learned is it's important to take regular breaks. It's healthy.
mm.
Regular breaks, not to play as in, where you totally neglect your work. No, that's not the intention of this. But take regular breaks to re-energize. Take a short walk, maybe
Mm,
walk up the stairs, up and down the stairs, come back to your desk and proceed with work. You find that you're more energized. Take naps for those that can, short naps, and then you get back, you're fully energized. Um, sleep. This is something I'm working on, eh? Having 7 to 8 hours sleep. Ah, my goodness, I have a challenge with that.
mhm,
But it is very important. It is key. Drinking water, eating healthy, all
mm,
these things are important for productivity, for one to be productive,
mm.
And productivity is about consistency,
That's true.
consistently, performing at high levels, you
Mm,
know. And the other thing that I wanted to talk about, Inonge, is how you need to help your leader with their load.
mm.
But do your work very well. First off, do your work well. Lead yourself exceptionally well
Mm-hmm.
before you lead other people. Lead yourself well. So self-leadership, self-management, self-regulation, it's got so many things that
Wow.
has to happen. Yeah, manage your emotions,
Mm,
things like that. Those are very key. And certain people would be very good at maybe managing their work situations, but their
mm-hmm.
personal lives are a mess. So it's got to be like a 360,
Mm,
everything pertaining to yourself.
mm-hmm.
Spiritually, you need to be in tune with God.
True.
You need the Holy Spirit. You need to be fully yielded to the Holy Spirit. Work-wise, you're performing.
Mm,
Personal life, it's committed to the Lord. Yeah. And as we focus on personal and professional growth, remember that we are always students. So when you are a student, you learn. But
mm,
when you learn, you're expected to produce. You shouldn't just be learning for the sake of learning and
mm,
not producing anything. You become a producer. Once you become a producer, you need to be a teacher. Start teaching other people how to do stuff. Start
mm,
adding value to other people's lives.
mm-hmm.
And then again, the cycle goes back to being a student and then produce again, teacher, just like that.
Yeah.
So that's an important thing that I feel we ought to embrace.
Mm. You know, having
Yeah.
having been somebody that has had, at a point in my life had low, self-efficacy, low beliefs in what I am capable of doing and what I am capable of achieving, and having interacted with so many people and seeing also that, the main reason why they are not so productive, the main reason why they are not progressing in life is their self-belief. I would love to just share maybe four little things, that you can do, that you can do that can help you to build your self-belief, to build your self-image. And the first one is, stay in the stretch zone. Stay in the stretch zone. You see, if you keep on just being in this zone where you are not going out of your way to learn something, to do something, you just be limited.
Mm-hmm.
You just be limited. And the fact that you're limited, you will never believe in your ability to do anything. So your self-efficacy will be very low. So guys, if you're having issues with self-belief in yourself, try to place yourself in an environment that's always like stretching you. And the second thing is, set simple goals. If you set simple goals, you'll be hitting those goals, and as you hit them, you begin to enjoy, the feeling of having attained something. You begin to say to yourself, oh wow, I did that, so meaning I can do this. From something little, you keep on building, you keep on building. And the third thing is, look at the big picture. Look at the big picture. One of the reasons that make us believe so lowly about ourselves and what we are able to do
Hi,
is
Inonge.
yes, Ruth.
Can you hear me? The quality is quite poor
Yes,
of the sound.
I can
I'm
hear
not
you
sure.
very
Maybe
loud.
those
Yeah,
who are viewing can comment.
yeah, maybe they should, because I can hear you loud and clear. So, guys, please let us know if you're able to hear us. And as I was saying, I was talking about looking at the big picture. Sometimes
Right.
the reason why we have this self-belief is because of failures. Ruth touched a little on that, and she was able to say, you know what, so when you fall, people with high self-efficacy, they get up quickly. So what I'm trying to say to those that have a low self-belief in themselves is, when you fall, don't give up. You see, failure is when you stay down, but the moment that you get up, you turn that failure into a lesson. So instead of having called yourself a failure, you would have learned a way not to do something. And the other,
Exactly.
you know
Exactly.
you should be able to reframe your obstacles. don't look at an obstacle as something that is meant to hinder you, but look at it as something that is meant to make you go through.
To help you grow.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
something that is meant to push you to your next level. So we have a comment from Mike, and Mike actually says, we can hear you loud and clear. So Ruth,
That's good.
yeah, we are very, very much audible. So guys,
Okay, thank
those
you.
are the four things that I wanted to talk about. And when it comes to awareness, Ruth said something about what she's certified to do, of which she's certified to do this disc analysis. Even as a coach, every coach needs a coach. Every coach needs a coach. That's what we are taught
Yeah,
as John Maxwell team members. So I have been coached by Ruth
yeah,
before. I have done a disc analysis before. And oh my God, this disc analysis just unveiled a lot about me, and it's helped me. Sometimes I used to feel a little guilty, not even a little guilty about how I am, until I understood that there are different types of people. And there are different types of people. There are certain people like me, who's a D with a combination of an S, a DS. Where you're focused on getting things done. You're reserved when it comes to people, but you're focused on getting things done. And I used to feel guilty about that. But after I understood to say, oh, this is my personality, what Ruth helped me to do was to say, okay, as you have discovered your personality, this is now how you relate with people who are not like and this is how you like to
yeah.
be handled. So when you're not handled in such a manner, just understand that maybe you're being handled by somebody else who's maybe an I, an S, or a C. So Ruth, I would love you to talk about just the whole disc thing, because it lit me up. It helped me build my belief and my confidence. So just quickly, briefly talk about the disc process.
Okay. All right. So we all have different personalities. We are unique, and you find that each one of us has a certain, of course, uniqueness about us, and personalities sometimes clash. You
Mm.
find that people sometimes just don't get along, and you wonder, when two people that have opposing personalities don't even understand that it's the personalities that are different, they won't know how to communicate with one another. So what this does is it brings that awareness. Remember, we all have blind spots. So there are certain things, once you have this report, it will bring to light why certain things are the way they are, and how you ought to communicate with other people, and how other people ought to communicate with you. So you fully understand that. So let's start from the beginning where DISC is concerned. DISC stands for D, dominant characters, decisive, driven people. I, influencers, inspiring people. S, steady, stable people. C, compliant, correct people. And let me just quickly go through each one of the personality types. So each
Mm.
personality type has, key strengths, and any strength overused becomes a weakness. And there'll be, like, each personality type will have a fear. For instance, for a D, that driven person who's very results oriented, when you're communicating with them, you need to be brief, and you need to give them solutions. Don't go to them with problems. If you have a leader who's like that, don't go to them explaining what, well, there's this problem, there's this challenge. No, go there with solutions, having thought through what is possible, so that when you are talking to them, you are brief. You don't necessarily waste their time with speaking about process, because they don't care much about process. They just want to understand. They just want results. They just want to know, what does that mean? And they'll typically have several things that are very innovative thinkers. They'll have several things happening at the same time. Driven people, their greatest fear is being taken advantage of. Okay. Yeah. Now talk about an I.
Mm-hmm.
An I is inspiring. They tend to talk too much, but they inspire. They are the life of the party. If, for instance, in a room, you find people who are just looking at each other, or an I enters the room, suddenly there's chatter, there's laughter. Yeah, that's an I. I is typically spontaneous in nature. They like to belong. So their greatest fear is rejection. They want to be liked. So they're full of humor, etc. They want to be liked. So if say for instance that isn't happening, then they feel rejected. So that's their greatest fear. For the S, the steady, stable type, they are so stable, so steady, that their greatest fear is that losing that stable environment. Maybe you know people who are always talking about how Bazachichos and Chito, we'll lose our jobs, things like that. Those are S. And their greatest fear is exactly that, losing that stability. So for the S, they make great team players, and they actually accomplish tasks. When you give them tasks, they're very good at follow through, but they tend to delay, and they are resistant to change. When you look at a C, for instance, a C is a control freak. They do things in a very methodical way. Okay, things have to be done, and they're so detailed oriented. So they spend a whole lot of time working on detail and all that. When it comes to their greatest fear is to be criticized. Imagine they've put up all this work, and then suddenly somebody just rubbishes their work. No, that's not right. So that's the C. They're compliant. They are, they believe in controls and stuff like that, and they're very methodical in their approach. So when you approach a C with something like a D, for instance, and a C, they have to know each other very well, because a D wants fast answers, fast results, whereas the C takes their time to analyze things. They look at detail, etc. So a D and a C have to understand each other very well. Else, a C will look at a D as being, this guy is not serious. And the D will look at the C, this guy just delays things. I want things now, and they're delaying things. Yeah. So C's also tend to, adapt slowly to change. They're not quick to change.
True.
Yeah.
That's
true. And you find that D's, by the way, D's and I's are outgoing, whereas S's and C's are reserved. I just wanted to say that. So D's, D's and C's are task oriented, whereas I and S's are people oriented. So when a D is communicating with another D, for instance, they need to respect each other, else they'll it will be sparks throughout. Because D's are pushy. Yeah, D's are very aggressive.
We are very aggressive. We are very aggressive. And Ruth, I just want to, even on air, I just want to acknowledge and really appreciate, your presence in my life, not only as a JMT fellow, but also a coach to me, because you've coached me when it comes to this disc, and it has actually helped me understand others. What you just said about the D and the C, somebody who is very important to me in my life, who plays a very major role in my life, happens to be a C. So now, when you're with this C and they are talking, I would always find myself going like, why can't this person just, get to the point, and this is a very important person to me. But whenever I'm with them, like I'm wondering, this person wastes my time. They want to give me all the details. But from the time that I had the disc, analysis with you, I was able to understand the way they think, to adjust, to be able to accommodate them. And I think the way we relate as friends, became better. So for everyone that is watching, guys, there is power in awareness. There is power in being aware, what type of behavioral pattern you possess. Are you a D? Are you an I? Are you an S? Or are you a C? It's very, very important. For me, I got to discover who I am, of which I am a D that also has a bit of an S. So I am dominant. At the same time, I am dominant, and at the same time, I'm reserved. I'm not too outgoing, so that really makes me, and it was a very beautiful thing, just to
Yeah.
understand who I am and what I do. So for those that are watching, if you'd love to know, who you are and the people around you, get an understanding of who they are, please feel free to interact. You can inbox me and I'll connect you to Ruth, because she's a certified John Maxwell speaker, trainer, and coach. And she's also certified to do the disc analysis. So she does this disc analysis with individuals as well as in companies, as well as in organizations.
Yeah.
So is a person to go.
Yes.
I just love this conversation. I just can't get over it. But in the interest of time, we have to go. And before we go, I'm going to read the comments. And as we conclude, as Ruth and I conclude, we'll leave you with a few closing remarks. And then you get to hear something from our mentor, who so happens to be John C. Maxwell. So John Maxwell will actually be closing this segment with a word concerning self-image. So at this point, we just want to acknowledge every special person that has been with us, who's liked, shared, dropped their comment, and participated. So we've had Pastor Sam coming on and cheering on the John Maxwell team. We've had Maureen, who's actually a John Maxwell certified speaker, trainer, and coach, showing us her love and support, the JMT DNA, saying following keenly. And we've also had Karen saying watching and following. And she went ahead and talked about taking responsibility when we're actually talking about responsibility. And we also have Mike, who's joined us watching all the way from Livala. Thank you so much, Mike, for joining us and watching. And Mike says, I'm learning March. Thanks, guys. And Mike actually went ahead and laughed and said, ha ha ha, I think I'm D. Well, Mike, you and I think we fall in the same boots. So for all those that drop their comments, that like this broadcast, that have shared this broadcast, that have been part and parcel of this broadcast, I just want to say a big thank you to you. In a nutshell, Ruth, please give your conclusion on self-efficacy, productivity, the DISC analysis.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Yeah. I think it's very key to know that you are actually important. You matter. Uh, you are worth it. God loves you, and therefore treat yourself well. Have that belief in yourself. God loves you and He's deposited gifts that He wants you to use. So have that sense of belief that you can do all things through Christ who strengthens you. So having said that, in terms of productivity, be serious with what you do, whether you are in the workplace or you're doing your own thing. That purpose, understand what your purpose is, understand what it is that you're doing. And by so doing, I think you apply yourself more. And you can attain mastery at something by doing it over and over again. Break down large tasks into smaller bits so that you're able to achieve them, and celebrate small wins. When you get a win, celebrate it. Don't wait for that big win to celebrate. enjoy that. It will develop your self-efficacy because you get to understand that you are actually able to achieve results, you know. Productivity is key. Manage your energy. Those things that we talked about, taking short walks, regular breaks, eating your breakfast, for instance, is also key. Have regular meals, drink water, lots of water. That will help you. Yeah. But above all, be responsible. It's very important to actually be a responsible human being and have boundaries. Yeah. What people do to you is not your business. What you do to them is your business. So take care of your surroundings, take care of your environment, be that person. Well done, my good and faithful servant. When you work as unto the Lord. Thank you.
That's true.
For DISC, reach out if you're interested in taking this assessment, and I can give you details about it. There's a report, about 28 pages, that helps you with what you need to do. It will identify your growth areas. It will identify your strength areas. It will also advise you how you communicate with other personality types and how they ought to communicate with you. So that's something that I feel is quite valuable. Self-awareness, but you need to be intentional about everything you do. Inonge, looking forward to you and I doing the invaluable laws of growth together.
That's true. Looking forward to it too. Looking forward to it too. So, guys, just to conclude, once again, I just want to thank everybody that has been part and parcel of this wonderful leadership segment. And I want to thank Ruth, who is a very busy person but has found time just to be with us and, share her wisdom, with us. And when it comes to self-belief, I want you to believe that, every breath that you take is a sign from God saying, I am not yet done with you, and there is more that can come out from you. So every time that you wake up, just know that life is giving you another chance to be the best version of you. When you fall, don't stay down. Get yourself up back and, just keep being you. Don't depend on others to believe in you. Be your own cheerleader first. So as you cheer yourself on, others will join. If they don't join, it's okay, as long as you're fulfilling your purpose. But most likely, they will definitely join you. So in closing this leadership segment, I would love to share with you something from my mentor and Ruth's mentor. We're just going to share a video from our mentor, John C. Maxwell. That is what we're going to do just as we close.
Hi, this is John Maxwell. Welcome to Minute with Maxwell. This week I have 1,500 coaches, speakers, and teachers from all over the world contributing to youth programs. My certified team members are going to be teaching the youth on topics such as self-image. What you believe about yourself, what you think about yourself, determines everything about yourself. Let me explain it this way. If this hand here is my self-image and this hand is me, John Maxwell, whatever my self-image level is, it becomes a lid on my potential. So from a 1 to a 10, if I have a kind of a low self-image, I only have a 3, what that means is that me, John Maxwell, will get stuck beneath that self-image. So if I think of myself kind of poorly, a little bit less than even maybe average, what that does is that self-image holds me down. It doesn't let me rise. It doesn't let me reach my potential. Your self-image is the lid on your potential. I have known a lot of successful people that other people didn't believe in them and yet they became successful. But I've never known anybody that didn't believe in themselves that became successful. And here's the good news. You can raise the lid of your self-image. If you begin to choose good friends, if you begin to choose good thoughts about yourself, if you begin to be your best friend and say encouraging words to you, you can take your self-image from a 3 to a 4 to a 5. And every time you lift your self-image, you lift yourself. You see, yourself follows your self-image. It is impossible for us to behave in a manner that is inconsistent with how we see ourselves. So, you have potential, God-given potential. See yourself as a gift to this world, unique with great possibilities. Let that begin to lift your self-image. That will lift you. And guess what? When you begin to be lifted, then and only then can you lift others.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. And at this point, we wrap up this